Kia ora and welcome to Oho Ake Books. My name is Fareus, Living Man. So, you always see me in this hat. It's called a toque, right? In Quebec, in Canada. In this country where I'm from, Aotearoa, New Zealand, for some reason we call it a beanie. It's not a beanie, it's not a cap with a propeller on it, it's a toque. And I'll always call it a toque. My spiritual home, Canada, I lived for 4 years, it's a toque. So you always see me in this toque most of the time, and the only reason why I wear this toque most of the time is because it's cold. It's cold on my head, so when I put it on my head it's usually because I'm cold, or because I just like to have my head covered sometimes as well. So tonight really, I'm going to talk about this experience that I had in 2017 and leading up to that experience in 2017, and why I had it and what I did during this experience, and how it changed my life completely in that year and moving forward into also, it was like this the first moment that I really began to move towards finding the integrity in myself to heal in the way, at the deepest ways that I did have in my life experience, my conscious awakening experience. And also it's helped me to come to the place where I realized Oho Ake Books, the publishing company that I created and started in 2008, and I'm still working with, how up until that time, 2017, I'd written, it was 8 books. I published 6 or 7, I think it was 7 at the time. But that year, 2017, I didn't do much work with my publishing company at all, really. I spent the whole year pretty much working on doing deep shadow work and just stopping and processing. What I did up until that time was I was spending a lot of time in a place of identifying being something and being somebody that was very different to the person that I am today. And in that process of me being that person for such a long time, that persona that I wore, that mask that I wore, it really was a mask. And in regards to that identity that I had for that long, I got to a point in 2017 where I was with someone, in a relationship with someone for about a year, and then her and I parted ways at the end of March in 2017, and I came back here feeling the full brunt of karma. The wheel turned and I got back basically an experience that I had given out many times to my lovers and my partners and my spouses. I got this experience back. That experience was that out of fear, I had not conveyed my decision to be with other people, or to actually connect with other people in a sexual way, and due to that fear, I'm not explaining my situation and how I was feeling about my connection with somebody else. I was with somebody in regards to being in a connection with them, in a sexual connection or a relationship connection. I acted out of fear, and in that fear, I didn't tell my partners, and they found out about my connection with other people, and it ruined my connection with that particular lover, that particular partner, and it sunk my ship, so to speak. And I caused a lot of pain because of my actions, because I'm always afraid to be open and vulnerable and have the integrity to come forward and say this is how I was feeling, because most of the time I would sabotage all my relationships because I felt unsafe in my relationships. So in 2017, when I had this experience happen to me, from a lover that I had at the time, I was devastated. So I was quite smitten with this girl, this woman. I was quite smitten with her. And I saw a future for us together, at least at the time, before we broke up. And now looking back on it, I can see it was probably the best thing that could ever have happened to me, because it put me into this place of deep healing and also deep shadow work. And what I was doing after we broke up, I'd come home from work. I was working in my day hustle, not doing much writing, because I wasn't really in the space to write or create at all, really. I was more in the space of I feel this draw to be very analytical is not the right word, to be very introspective and contemplative about my life experience and how I got to where I am in that moment, and I had to look back at my life experience and say, who was I identifying myself as being? Who am I, and why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing, and why am I drawing to my life what I'm experiencing? What's creating all this? Why am I experiencing all this? What's creating it? So I'd come home from work. I have make myself some dinner in my kitchen, which is just over here, over there. And I'd come home and I'd make dinner, sit on here on the couch and have my dinner, and then I would pull these curtains over here. I'm going to take you over here and show these curtains. I would pull my curtains. These ones here. Oh. Pull my curtains across, like so. Yeah, I'm pulling my curtains. Pull my curtains like this. Pull my curtains across. And I go back to my couch. I'd sit on my couch. I'd turn around and I'd face my curtains. Let me just turn this around so I can turn it around the other way. Oops. One. No. Okay. I'm trying to turn my camera around here so I can face the other way. It's not going to work for me. No, it's not going to work. Okay. So I was going to turn around my camera here. I'd turn around and I'd face my curtains. And I'd just sit here on the couch. And basically, I would just look at the curtains. I'd stare at the curtains. And do nothing. Just drop into the space where I was. I would just stare at my curtains. No recollection of time or the experience of doing anything other than looking at the curtains and just sitting here. And whatever came up into my mind, bubbled up from my consciousness, whatever came into my mind, I would just let it be. I would just sit here and let it pop up. Wouldn't judge it, I'd just observe it the whole time. I observe my feeling. When I have a particular thought or a memory or an experience, I'd observe the feeling that I had around that experience, just sitting here looking at that curtain and just feel into it. And often, more times than not, the feeling that would come up and the experience that would come up would be something that I hadn't addressed in my life that I'd forgotten all about. That would lead me back to a place where I got to the end of my relationship with that person. It showed me about all those things about myself I didn't really like about who I was and what I was doing in my life. So I sat there for almost, I was doing this process. I was sitting on my couch looking at those curtains over there for almost, jeepers, it was almost 7 months of doing this. At least twice a week, 3 times a week, often 4 times a week. I was doing this for periods of time, and I was going out into the world and being social afterwards and hanging out with people and meeting new people and going to bars and going to parties and potluck dinners and picnics and walks and all this kind of stuff. And I was just holding my space, holding my own personal space, not looking for anything other than just to meet people and have those connections with people, but holding my space and my energy as I was working through my stuff. And by doing that and holding my energy and holding my frame and just being myself, I became incredibly magnetic. I drew people into my life from all walks of life. They wanted to be near me and around me. As a consequence of me doing this as well, it was like the old me that had been the forefront of my personas, my masks that I wore for so many years. This philandering, cocky, confident, cocksure Lothario that I'd been for such a long time. Oh gee, I was in my mid to late 40s, so I was like 45, 46, bodily wise anyway. This person that I was, this persona that I put out to the world, seemed to emanate from me in a way that I wasn't even consciously aware of. And by just me being myself and holding space, I had a lot of women in that 7-month period coming on to me at parties, at social gatherings, at bars, at picnics. And I was just like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm really good. Just being myself. I'm holding my space. I'm actually really good. And that was the most weirdest and craziest thing to see. That this part of myself, this old part of myself, was sort of pushing its way to the surface, like it was slowly coming out, like a poultice of life was drawing it out of my body, being in spirit. Because I wanted to be somebody else. I wanted to find who I really was in regards to my integrity, and I wanted to let all this part of myself go. This person that I'd been for such a long time, and the fun experiences I'd had around that, being that person, I wanted to let all of that go. And yet at the same time as I was doing this and holding the space, this part of me was pulling these people into my life to show me that, hey, you can still have this experience if you want to have it. This is who you are. And I wasn't. That wasn't who I was anymore. So I didn't do it. I stopped. I said, no, it's not who I am. Eventually, by the end of that year, I made a conscious decision to be with someone in an intimate way. It was a beautiful experience, an incredible experience. Because I moved from my heart rather than from any other way, from my ego or from my lack of self-esteem or my wounding. I moved from my heart in regards to that connection with that person that I connected with in that way intimately by the end of the year. But a crazy experience. And now in 2022, I feel the urge to do it all over again. To sit here on my couch some nights, pull my curtains and look at them, stare at them, stare at my curtains and go, just stare and see what comes up and be still and allow myself to be in that spaciousness and allow whatever to come up, and for me to just to feel into it and see where it takes me, but not hang on to it, not judge it, just let it be. Crazy, wild experience and a beautiful one at that. And on my path to being the person that I am, the being that I am today, those curtains have a big part to play in that. Mā te wa. I'll see you again soon.